Hello, hello. It is good to see. Hello, people. Can you, all right, first of all, can you hear me? Thank you. Okay, that's good. That's good. Good start. Okay. First of all, let me just, I'm so glad. Oh, there's more people coming. Hold on. I will hold. Yeah, buckle your seatbelts. Is a long class. You're aware of that. Yes, but it's great to see you. It is great to see you. My name is Professor Yaverbaum. We'll get to that in a minute. It says that hello. I'm gonna say hello to people now. I'm into hellos. I'm into goodbyes. We'll discuss that. If I say your name, it is not. Well, first of all, correct me if I say it wrong. You could do it by direct chat or by public chat. But if I'm about to say some names, there's not to call attention to anybody. It's not to embarrass anybody. It's to say hello, and I will ultimately say hello to everybody. Um, but hello, you, Jin. Hello, Ashton. Hello, hello. And stop me if well, okay. Am I saying it right? Well, okay, you'll tell me. Tell me if I'm saying it wrong or if you prefer something else or if I'm saying too much or too little. But so hello, Eugene. Hello, Ashton. Hello, Kayla. Hello, Sylvie. Hello, Ariana. Hello, hello. Okay, now again, I'm Professor Yaverbaum. Now, there's other people to say hello. I said hello to them first because they're showing video. Does that mean you have to show video? No. Does it mean the people who are not showing video are doing something wrong? No. But does it mean that the people who are showing video are doing something extra special, nice, at least for the moment? Yes. We'll talk about that. But so I'm saying hello to them first, but hello, Ash. Thank you. See, that's so nice. Thank you, Coco. Hello, Coco. And you could do it on up. We're going to talk about the whole video thing. You could come in, you can come out. I get it. We'll talk about it. But it is, especially right now, even to get to know you, is very nice. If you could show video for a little bit, it's awesome. So thank you, Coco. And you're using the chat too, which I appreciate. Hello, Remy. I'll get to that in a minute. Wait. Oh, but also let me say, before I even say hello to Remy and others in the chat, let me also say hello to Ari. There's many people to say hello to, but I'm also going to say hello to Ariana. Why? Okay, she's not showing video, but she is showing a picture. It's better than a black box. I mean, at least it shows me something I can relate to or remember her by or something. So if I, right, even if there are people that have in past classes shown pictures of Pokemon, I know they're not a Pokemon. I know if I saw them in the halls, I wouldn't know it's them because they're not a Pokemon. But still, then I think of them as the Pokemon person. It helps just to. So if you're even showing a picture, I totally appreciate it. So hello, Ariana, thank you. Or I was just going to say that too. For example, hello. Wait, they're coming in. They're coming in right now. Wait, and we're going to talk about all this. So hello, Fatima. If I'm saying it right. So hello, yes. Fatima. I'm saying hello to you because she's showing the letter F with a purple background. Even that is a little bit more easy to work with than just the black square. Nothing wrong with the black square. Some of my best friends are black squares. The black squares are fine, but I'm just saying it's even extra nice if you could put it on like an avatar or however you say it, or a thing or a letter that has a purple background. It helps, and the video helps even more. We're going to talk about all this. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just complimenting some people, if you get what I mean. So let me also say hello, Giselle. It's great to see you, or great to know you. Hello, Ashley. Hello, Jake, or Jake Moses. I'm not sure. You'll tell me. I think I say Jake Moses. You'll tell me. Hello, Dewan. Wait, I think it's Dewan. I think I might even know you. I think it's Dewan, but you'll tell me in private chat or public chat. Hello, Jonathan, who was here very early, I might add. Thank you. I was in another class at the time, but that was awesome that you can't totally saw that. I just couldn't let you in because hello, and I'm not embarrassing him. Oh, and I just lost my board. We'll get to that in a minute, that technology in a minute. Oh, and Suley, wait, someone's coming. Okay, hold on. We're not, believe me, we'll do physics. I'm not just going to say, hello, Giselle. Awesome. Thank you. And we're not just going to do this for 4 hours, but thank you, Kayla, for at least, and Ashton for looking something other than miserable. I totally appreciate it. We will do things, but Zoom is so hard. It's so, I know it's so whatever that like the more human we can make it, I think the better. So who else did I not say hello to yet? And I think I'm saying Devin right. Jonathan, Marina, I think it's right. You'll tell me in direct chat. Oh, hello. And did I say, and she went public, or I think she went public. They went public. Thank you. That's awesome too. And even like an emoji. I'm so happy. Okay. So hello. And again, tell me, I'm a big believer in the public chat and the private chat. We'll talk about that too. Direct chat is a good thing. It's one thing we don't have in a regular classroom, right? Like there's literally no direct chat in a regular classroom. I mean, you can say something privately to the professor, But how do you do that? Like you lean over and you whisper. And then even if no one hears what you're saying, everybody knows you're saying something private. So that defeats the whole purpose. But here you can actually tell me something that no one else, and I will respect it. We'll talk about that too. Anything you put in the direct chat, I might use the information if it's a question I think will help everybody, but I will never say your name. I mean, I will check it. Although I get myself caught up, so I'm going to check in 1 second. I do see there's things in the chat. But also, hello, Remy. I didn't say hello yet. Remy was also very early. Thank you so much. I was in another class, sorry. Hello, Isabella. Hello, Abigail. Oh, and hello, Salady. Hello, hello. Hello. Oh, and she even gave me a hello back. All these little human things that we're doing, by the way, well, we'll talk about, but you get points for all of them. Believe they actually help your grade. You will never lose points for not being a human being because we all have moments where we don't want to be a human. But okay, so here we go. I'm looking at the chat now. Let's look in the chat. 1 second. Yes, it is a long class, but it'll go faster than you think, maybe. So, oh, and there's you. Oh, and some of you know each other, maybe that would be good too. Oh, maybe some of you had one-on-one. We can talk about. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, we're going to talk about that. But hello, Ariana, and I'm so glad Eugene. And also, like what Eugene is doing, this is a good thing. You only have to be on mute if you have like a loud dog in the background, which I do, or something. You guys can be off mute. Like the more we can all talk, really, the better. No one wants to listen to me for 2.5 hours straight, I assure you. So you don't have to be on mute except like it to drown out like that. So I'm glad that some people aren't. But okay. So hello, Ariana. Thank you for saying hello in the chat. Hello, Isabella. Hello, Remy. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Marina. I think it's Marina. You'll tell me. Hello, Dewin. I think it's Dewin. You'll tell me. And remember,
yeah, you're correct.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Wait, where did this come from? Okay, great. Oh, and Jake Moses.
Marina.
Oh, wait. Oh, so that, wait, Marina. Wait, say it one more time.
Marina, yes.
Marina, like as in a marina. Okay, Marina. I will only get it wrong like
Yeah.
14 more times. Okay, I will only get it wrong like 14 more times or something. I promise. No, I won't. But good, and thank you. And you should correct me. And again, my name is Yaverbaum, which, like, I mean, like, there's definitely more ways to say wrong than right. And if Yaverbaum, it like rhymes with cadaver town, if that helps anybody. But oh, thank you. What a nice thing to say in the chat. Oh, well, okay. Our work here is done. Anyone public or Ashton went public too. She went, wait, where are we? I saw her a second ago. Okay. Thank you. That's very nice. And hello, Jake Moses. Is it Jake Moses? Is that correct? Like, do I say, okay. All right, cool. All right. So who else have I not said hello to? Maybe I did not say hello to Nicole. Hello, Nicole. Hello. Oh, I just said hello back. Oh, this is gonna be a great class. I could see it already. We're gonna like resemble human beings. We're gonna fool the world into thinking we have 3 dimensions going on here. We're gonna do this so well by the end. This is gonna sound gross. I'm already regretting that I'm about to say this, but I'm gonna say by the end, you're gonna be smelling me. It's gonna be so loud. That's just thank you. I think about that all the time, though. That's what's missing. Okay, anyway. All right. And we are going to do stuff today, I promise. But first of all, I'm trying to get to know you, of course. Wait, I think I've said hello to everybody. I'm gonna, and also I want to thank you. Apparently, many of you checked your email and got the email and got the Zoom link. That's good. I'm sure some people didn't. And if you have friends that you know are supposed to be in this class, it's the lecture part. This part is always at this Zoom link, and I will, if they never find us, I'll never find them. If that makes sense. Like we'll talk about attendance, but I'm very into whoever's here. I'm very unconcerned with anybody who's not here. So if you have friends who are supposed to be, please let them know to come to this Zoom link. It will be this Zoom link every Wednesday. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so right now and yes, it's long, but we'll do various things and it won't always be just me talking. We have to get some nuts and bolts out of the way first. So let me pause and I do want to get to know you honestly, and I want you to get to know me. And I want my board to come back and stop not working. Well, all right. Okay, let me just pause for a second and see. There's 19 of us in the room. No, there's 18 of us in the room. And on Google Classroom, no. Are you kidding me? Every single one of you, Tell me if I'm wrong in direct chat, but I am under this crazy, unprecedented impression that every single one of you who is sitting in the Zoom room right now actually did join the Google Classroom class. Like it seems to 18 and 18. That literally might be unprecedented. That is amazing. Now, obviously, there still could be some people who aren't here at all, but is that right? Like, yeah, can you just put up an electronic thumb or whatever if in fact you did join the Google Classroom? Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I don't even know why. That's great. That saves us a lot. Okay. Or I'm waiting. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. So let me start by saying it's all about, well, in terms of the lecture and recitation and in terms of the lecture, this part of the class, it's all about this Zoom address from here on in. It's all about Zoom and all the work interchange and announcements and homework and exams. All of that from here on in is through Google Classroom. Blackboard from here on in is just a link to the Google Classroom for good or for bad. I totally 100% use Google Classroom. May the Lords of CUNY strike me down. Well, may them not. Like, that's a little bit annoying. I do actually respect that many of you would just rather have one place that you go for everything. I do get that, and I'm not trying to be a rebel, but in my experience, Google Classroom is so much easier and more friendly and better to use that it's worth the little annoyance of two-stop shopping. You can let me know privately as we progress if it's really a problem for you. We'll work out something, or at least I'll listen. But I think you'll find that Google Classroom is an easier place to deal. I am saying from here on in, always check the Google Classroom rather than Blackboard. I am saying that much. And we're going to start using it today to make sure we're okay with it. The fact that you already all signed up for it is a major sign of success. So I'm gonna ask this first. We're gonna start like doing assignments in it right now. We're gonna start doing work together almost right now. Again, it won't only be me talking, but in terms of getting to know you, how many of you're in Physics 102, so that means you all took some form of Physics 101. Can you? What's the easiest way to do this? Raise your electronic hand if you took. Raise your electronic hand or send me a chat or something if you did not take the first physics course at John Jay. If you did not take it at John Jay, okay, that's 2. And please keep them up. Or if you took your first physics course somewhere else, please keep up your hands or signify it for a moment. Okay. Marina and Ariana. So first of all, welcome. So is it just you? All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go the other way. All right, you can put your hand down now. Marina, like Marina. What's so hard about that? Yaverbound, Cadaver Town, Marina. Okay. Oh, cool. That was my net. Oh, 3 people. Okay, cool. Oh, wait, I'm looking. Oh, wow. Okay. Wait, I'm getting answers in the. Hold on. Oh, you didn't mean to. Okay. Wait a second. CCNY. Wow. Okay. And by the way, I'm also impressed that everybody's going with the public chat. I mean, good for you. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with the direct chat, but yes, sure, it does make it 8 years. Wow. Okay. So wait a minute. So Ariana. I'm going to go out on a limb. You don't have to, well, hold on. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going into direct chat for a second. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I was confused about that, but okay. That's fine. My mind is elsewhere too. Okay. So just to clarify, we've got a couple of people that took 101 or physics 1 somewhere else, which is totally fine, more than fine. But a lot of you took 101 here. Can we, how about this? Do you mind just either putting in the chat or I would like to hear from everybody one way or the other. So actually, let's just do this. Let's be silly. So like Marina, I got, okay, CCNY. And wow, one of my degrees, by the way, is from CCNY. And boy, do I respect that place. I mean, that place is hard. And so is Fordham. And I mean, they're both hard. But like, wow. So welcome. That's Marina. So I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. If you want to pass, you can, but I would just like to sort of get to know everybody. So if you don't mind, Jin, you took it here. Oh, wow.
I
Cool.
didn't.
Sorry, go.
Wasn't me.
No. And so I'm just like asking you, like you took 101 here at John Jay, correct?
Yes,
You
last semester.
okay, so that means, so were you so you had a shift of instructor in the middle?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a lot of you in this room had a shift of so okay. Let me, again, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but we have a lot of time here. So okay, so Eugene was in 101 here. So believe me, I know what all went down with that. And congratulations for getting through, honestly, to say the least. I know that was not an easy semester for anybody. It wasn't an easy semester for anybody, but if you got through that and you got through with dignity, and I'm even gonna go on a limb here too. If you were in 101 at John Jay last semester, and I've never heard your name before, that's amazing. That means that you really handled what went on with grace and dignity and strength. Because obviously that was, so for people who don't know, so we had a shift of instructor in the middle of 101 last semester. And let me back up all the way to all of you. Okay, so I'm the coordinator of physics at John Jay. Okay, I mean, I coordinate all the physics courses at John Jay. This is one of the core, I don't usually teach, I haven't taught 101 in a long time, but I oversee it. This course I do teach, and I do very much enjoy teaching. Generally, I teach 204, blah, blah, blah. Hold on, someone else is here. But also just by way of introduction, I've been the coordinator of physics at John Jay since 2011 or 12, I think 2011, 2012. So I've seen a lot of things come. Obviously, that's way before COVID. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Anything that happens in physics has to happen through me in some way. So physics 101, we had someone who was teaching it for a long time, a trusted ally, a trusted colleague of mine, and she got another job in the middle of the semester. Totally understandable, that happens. So she had to leave, so someone else came in who's a little bit newer. And I'm sure it was challenging I know it was challenging for all of you. It's not anything that we would ever want to put anybody through. So if you made it through and you're still standing and you signed up for another physics course, even if it was required, even if you had no choice, but you're still here, already you have my deepest commendation and respect. And I'm not kidding about that. Because you weren't looking for that to happen. Now, if you came from another place, you also have my deepest commendation and respect for another reason, because here you are coming to a new place where you don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully we're all going to make ourselves welcome here and work together. I was about to go around the whole room, but maybe that will be inefficient. Is there anybody? Oh, wait. Oh, I'm looking at the chat. Hold on. Chat is good. Hold on. Let me see. Awesome. Yes. Right. You swapped professors in the middle semester. Correct. Yeah. Oh, they didn't. Well, I'm happy. Oh, no, it really is true. Hold on. It's totally fair that you're asking this. And I'm happy, whatever air we want to clear so that we can all have a fresh start with each other, I'm happy to do it. No, Professor Luke, she really did get another job offer in the middle. And I'll be more, and I don't know if she told you or not, and I don't know, but it is true. And she'd been warning me for a while that might happen. None of us wanted that to happen in the middle of a semester. And she'd been trying to prevent it for a long time, but she'd also been warning me for a long time, which was the professional thing to do. And look, to be super honest, to be clear to all of you, this is how it works. And this is something maybe you should know. We have a lot of people teaching physics here. A lot of people come and go. I don't come and go. I just stay. Why? Not why. Well, because I'm the one full-time person who has a full-time salary and a long-standing back. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, not all at John Jay, but I've been doing this for 30 years. I have a couple degrees. And I have a full-time salary, and I support a family on this. Everybody else who teaches physics, the way this university, everybody else who teaches physics at John Jay is paid as an adjunct. They can't support a family on that. It's for good or for bad, that's the way it is. Everybody else who teaches physics, whatever they teach, even if they teach a lot, even if they've been doing it for a long time, it's not a full-time stable situation for them. Now, some of them really have been with me for a long time, and I love them, but I know in my heart, anybody who comes to teach physics, and this might be one of you at some point, this is one of the reasons I'm telling you, like, generally the people that teach the other physics courses at John Jay, including your lab course, they've come through the system, they're talented and ambitious and strong and responsible. And for one reason or another, we've picked them to be in charge of their territory. But most people who are teaching physics at John Jay, other than me, are on their way to other things that will allow them to support a family or support themselves or whatever. So we always try to work it out so people don't leave in the middle of the semester or whatever. But if they get a better thing, which is what happened with Professor Liu, we have to support that because, I mean, she has a family, et cetera, et cetera. She'd been our 101 goddess for a long time. And she's a very good, but anyway, that is what happened. I will, to be super blunt, also, let me just let you know, most of the people that we get to teach physics at John Jay under these conditions to teach adjunct courses, most of them, one way or another, have probably at some point been a student of mine, and have done very well, and that's why they're here now. But they're on there, but they can't support a family or themselves really on this. I'm saying that also to let you know, right from the outset, I write a lot of recommendations. I'm here not just to support you in this class, but I'm here to support you wherever you're trying to go from this class beyond, whether it's graduate school or a job or something like that. Some of you will want to go to other places by working at John Jay for a while after this. Some of you may end up wanting to be a lab instructor or a teacher, and some of you will. That the people that do really well as students then go, I mean, this is like, you know this, academics is like a long chain of apprenticeships and so forth like that. And I very much hope to see, and some of you will just want to go on, and I will be very delighted, hopefully by the end of the semester, to write you recommendations or tell you somebody I know here, there, everywhere, and help you. But you're all here trying to move forward in your lives, and we totally respect that. And for some of you, a temporary stopping point or a plan B or whatever might be to work with me later on. And electron bless you and me if that's what ends up happening. All right, I'm going to be really blunt as long as we're talking about this. Wait, I'm just looking in the chat. And it's fair if you don't believe. I can understand why you might have resentment about what happened there. And hopefully this won't happen again this semester. It certainly won't happen to me. I mean, I will not leave you mid-semester. I'm too old. I've been doing this I will not leave you mid-semester. I can tell you that. Really. Some of you might leave me, but I'm not leaving you. That much I can say. I can also say that if you work with me, we'll get into all this. I know we have a lot to cover today. I want to explain the grading system and all of that. The grading system with me and in 102 and in 203 and 204 is very different from the grading system in 101, even under the best conditions. I will tell you right now that I want you all to get good grades. I will tell you right now that you all can get good grades. I will tell you right now, and I mean this, and you can talk to other people who have had me in other contexts. I will tell you right now, different professors have different philosophies and all that, and I respect many other different philosophies that are not mine. There is a philosophy that says And we are here to construct challenges for you. That there's a philosophy that says we're here to come up with well-designed challenges and ways to make your scientific scholarship hard and teach you how to deal with challenges. And there's a philosophy that says there should only be 4 A's in a class, and most of the grades should be C's or something like that. I lived under those philosophies as a student. I have worked with many colleagues who have those philosophies. I respect and I understand those philosophies. Those are not my philosophies. My philosophy is this, and you'll see it when I explain the grading system in a moment, but here's my philosophy. I believe that physics is hard already, no matter what we do. I made a life out of physics, have made a life out of physics, and physics is hard for me. Now, maybe I know some physics now that I'm going to teach you, and maybe that physics is not so hard for me anymore, but the only reason it's not hard for me anymore is because I've gotten to do it 1,000,000 times a day for 1,000,000 semesters at this point. Almost no physics was easy to me the first time I saw it. Something about it was appealing and exciting to me, but it was not easy to me. Physics is already hard on its own. The universe is already complicated on its own. The universe doesn't need my help to make it complicated, and physics doesn't need my help to make it hard. And guess what? Life is already hard, especially now in America in the year 2023, in whatever COVID or post-COVID or wacko COVID world we're living in on Zoom. Life is hard. It doesn't need me to make it any harder. Physics is hard. It doesn't need me to make it any harder. The universe is complex. It doesn't need me to make it any more complex. My job in my philosophy is to try to help you make some sense out of physics. And my job is to show you simpler versions of the universe that other scientists and physicists have come up with to make the universe easier for them to navigate. My job is to try to make life a little easier for you, not harder. My job is to help you, help me, help one another get as many A's as we can. Let me be more specific. As long as I'm like off the topic, but this is one of the topics for today. I do not have a limit to how many A's can be given in this class. I understand why some people do, I don't. As far as I'm concerned, if all of you actually earn A's in this class and there end up being 18 earned A's or 18 earned A minuses or B pluses, whatever it is you're going for, then that's amazing and that's fine. And I'm not going to get fired for violating some curve or something that I don't believe in. I mean, I'm not. I'm not. I want you all to strive for high grades. And the reason I'm telling you this right up front, it doesn't mean you're all going to get them. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to gift them to you. It means you're going to see when I explain the grading system and so forth, which is different from 101. It means that there's more than one path to an A in this class. The grading system is designed so that there's more than one way to get a good grade, so that you could be a really good exam taker, and that could be one way, or you might not be a good exam taker. You might be just a really, really eager, responsible, reliable, steady participant in homework and in discussions and so forth. And that might be a way that you might get an A. There should be more than one way to get an A. You're going to see. We're going to talk about this. Okay. And above all, I don't want anybody in this room to believe that in order for them to get an A, I don't want any of you to believe that in order for you to get an A, the person sitting next to you has to get a B or a C, or vice versa, that if you start seeing the person next to you doing well, that means you're going down. That is true in some classes, and we all know it, and it might even be for legitimate reasons, but it's not my world. In my world, I could not have gotten through physics without a lot of collaboration and a lot of friendship and a lot of partnership with my friends who back in the day were not wearing masks and who could go outside of their room and hang out with me, and actually were in a residential college with me where we could stay up all night in a dorm and like work this crap through and work together against the challenges. You guys have been robbed of a lot of those luxuries. Like, you're not in a residential college and you can't visit each other as easily and blah, blah, blah. And we're not even in the same room together and all that stuff. It's already hard enough for you to collaborate. I want you to collaborate, and I want you to know right from the get-go that if one of you is doing well, It's not at the expense of others. That person should help others. We should all be trying to get A's, and all of you can. There's no rule in my class against it. Okay, that like from the, so that's important to know. It changes the way we do things if you know. Now, I mean, I'm not, there's many ways in which I'm a big pain. You'll find that out. There's many ways in which it's very hard to work with me. You'll find that out. But I want you to know from the start, most of those ways are character defects that I'm ashamed of. They're not what I'm intending to do. I want anything way I try, I want to make it as easy as possible for you so that all the challenges are accidental, not deliberate. There's enough accidental challenges in life. We don't need to be constructing anymore. So that's number one. I forget why I'm on the topic, but and I'm going to explain the grading system in a second so you can see what I'm saying, or we're going to do work together in a second so you can see what I'm saying. Oh, and and here's why I'm saying all that too. I know that some of you suffered last semester, and you might now have reason not to trust Professor Liu or not to trust me. I can totally understand that. It was a rocky thing that happened to you last semester. That was really unfortunate. I can't take that back. But I can be as honest with you as possible about this. Oh, wait, let me just see. Oh, okay. I'm just looking at the chat. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, look. I mean, Fordham is hard, right? I know. I mean, and look, and sorry, I get. I want you guys to do well, and okay. I want to put my money where my mouth is too. Hold on a second. I mean, anybody can say anything. I mean, I'm telling you my philosophy, but my philosophy doesn't mean anything unless you see it in action. Wait, sorry. Oh, and that's very nice of you to say too. And you go to what's up. No, thank you. That's very nice. And I'll tell her you said that. And she did do very good. I thought she was doing great under the circumstances. I was really thrilled. But you know what? She left too, just to be super honest. We found out 5 days ago. We had her all set to keep doing that. We thought, thank God, like she's in place now. But she just got a better job and had to leave. And that's the way it is. I mean, that's not going to affect you. That's right. So we're going to talk about that right now. That's where I was going with this. That's correct. I mean, I'm saying that's correct to what's in the chat. And believe me, I'm bummed about it. We're going to address that. This is what, and you can imagine, I mean, it doesn't make it. We're just going to be honest about that. Like, she was awesome. She was a hero. And then we set it all up so that she was going to be the new hero of the semester. And then she got something better. And I told her directly when she told me, any letter that she ever needs from me to support her next endeavor, she's still going to get. She is still going to get any support she needs from me in her future life because she has to build a life. But are we a bit in a lurch or were we a bit in the lurch when she told us that? Yes. Is it disappointing? Yes. It is the nature of the game. So I'm going to explain about your lab. That's actually where I'm going with this conversation, is to explain about your lab. Which you have, and you have a lab instructor. She's in place. That's not an issue. You have a lab instructor. She's in place. We'll talk about that. You have a lab. But it's good that we're getting and you can keep the things going in chat. Anything that you feel or say you want to say public or private, do it, because and the people that are from other institutions, if you just take this as a sign that we are here to be human beings first and foremost, and to get through hard lives together first and foremost. And we can't, I want there to be some degree of community trust before we go on, and I do mean that seriously. And so I'm going to tell you a few things now to that end. Also, you have to sit with me for a long time on Zoom once a week. Like, that's hard. That doesn't work unless we feel like we're human beings doing that together. So let me address the lab thing and all that. There was something I was about, but before we go any further, let me give you my information so you can reach me, because some of you might have things to say and you don't want to say them right now. I totally understand that. So let me pause for a second and tell you how to reach me and all this. I mean, technically it's in the syllabus and it's in the documents, but but hang on. So please do copy this down or whatever. Okay. Okay. I'm jumping around here and I apologize, but I actually forgot. If I had thought about it, I would have actually intentionally devoted 45 minutes of this class to deal with the 101 situation. I actually really think this is necessary and valuable. So first of all, what I just put in the thing is how you reach me for anything, obviously for physics help, for help in the class, but also if you're just feeling shaky about anything, if you're feeling shaky or distrustful or something, obviously, I mean, in your capacity as a student, please do reach out. Because I also know that most of you are in this room, whether you're from another institution or not, most of you, if you're in this class, it means you're in some kind of science. We'll find out shortly, but I know that most of you are in some kind of science major, right? Like possibly tox, possibly CMB, or possibly you're trying to go to you're trying to get a pharmacology degree, or possibly you're trying to go to medical school. Like, no. Oh, wait, sorry, quit. Hold on 1 second. There's something in the. Okay. And yet keep things coming in the direct chat if you need. But look, most of you are in science majors and pursuing something in science. That means most of you are serious, have jumped through some serious hard hoops, either in high school or early in college. You're on some kind of track where you clearly care, like you wouldn't be putting up with all these science courses unless you were actually invested and focused and concerned about your future. We know this, like this, whatever major you're in, if you're required to take this class, much less if you're choosing to take it, you're in a no joke major. And we all know that. And we know that you're probably experiencing some stress from time to time. I mean, and if you're not, I want the number of your therapist right now for me. Like, thank you. I mean, for real, these are stress, and I don't care where you're coming from, York, Fordham, CCNY, John Jay, you are in a stressful major if you are in this class, and you have already like done some stressful, hard things, but you're not done yet, and you know it, and I know it. And let me, and I am here, especially because this is a second course, right? Like, I am partly here to help you through. I'm partly here as part of the fabric of the institution. I'm not coming or going. I am, for good or for bad, I am part of the more stable component of this institution. And I have seen the stress and I've experienced the stress, and I'm here to help you reduce it. I'm here to tell you right now, and I will tell you many times in the semester, I don't know any student in any of these majors at John Jay or York or whatever. I don't know any student who didn't at least have one big moment in their undergraduate science career, who didn't have at least one moment where they stopped and broke down and either ended up in a hospital or ended up in their parents' bedroom or ended up somewhere for at least an hour, if not weeks, saying, I don't know if I belong here. I don't know if I can handle this. Or the more modest version in some cases, I think I can handle it, but is this freaking worth it? Is this worth it? Do I really need to keep doing this? Can I really keep doing this? I'm watching all my friends in other majors at John Jay every weekend doing what they do, and it's not what I'm doing, and they're all together, and I'm here with this crap. And everybody at one point or another has some kind of breakdown. Almost everybody has some kind of breakdown where they literally question whether they belong here, whether they can get through it, or whether it's worth it. And I am here to tell you first, and during that breakdown, one of the scariest feelings that most people have is, I'm totally alone. I totally am in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if anybody understands what I'm going through. I don't know who to turn to. There's no friendly direction. I'm serious about this. I've been doing this for long enough to say, first of all, if you have ever had the feeling ever in your major that you don't belong and that you are alone, I'm here to tell you, you totally belong. You're not alone. You're not the only one. We've all, including me, had that moment. Okay. And it's okay. And if you haven't had the moment yet, bless you, but it might still be coming. And please remember, when it comes, it doesn't mean you don't belong. It means you do belong, because these majors are hard and they are stressful. And there's a lot of things in life now that are making them more stressful. Now, I'm not here to be a joke. I don't think physics is a joke. We're going to do real things in this class. We are. And hopefully you're really going to learn some real things that maybe you didn't even think you could learn, hopefully. But I'm not here. I believe at this point in my life, there's a big difference between intensity and stress. Intensity does not have to mean stress. Just like energy doesn't have to mean entropy. Like there's a way to work and a way to care and a way to take this work seriously without having other people without having to have a heart attack over it. So I'm here to listen if you're at the heart attack moment. And since some of you might have just had it last semester because of what happened, I think it is my duty to catch some of that before we go any further. So first of all, on Tuesdays, physically, I'm in that room on the 4th floor. During that time, you don't have to make an appointment. You can come by. Of course, if you do text me to let me know you're coming by, it's even better. But that's where I am on Tuesdays physically. Now, physically, I'm not in the building very much around that. That's why I do encourage you to text me. You can email me. I actually am good about emails, but the email that you use to email me is that one in there. I use a different email for all the Google Classroom stuff, which we'll eventually get back to in a moment. But that's the email you should use if you actually want a response. You are welcome to text me. I'm not joking about that. Especially because I'm not in the building that much anymore. Hello, COVID. Like I do feel like I owe you these answers. You can text me. I am a texter. And what I mean by the guideline is like if you can text me just like, is the test next Tuesday? Like, or you think the test is tomorrow and you're about to have a heart attack because you think the test is tomorrow, but you're not sure. If a one-word answer from me like no would stop your heart attack, please text me and I'll text back fast. I do usually text back pretty fast. Just what I'm saying by that your question has to be longer than my answer is just like, yeah, if it's a problem that I can solve fairly quickly and efficiently, then please let's use text and let me solve your problem fast. But what you can't do in text, what I mean by the guideline is you can't text me like, I missed the last 3 weeks. Can you teach me the material? Like by text. Like you can't ask me to like teach like 5 hours of physics by text just because you just wrote I wasn't here. Like that's not fair. Or so a lot of times people will say things like, I have a quick question, or like right after class, people say, oh, I just have a quick question. The thing that doesn't take into account a lot is quick questions are not the same thing as quick answers. So like you might have a quick question, but you see how verbose I am already. What you got to think about is how quick. The idea behind texting is try to send me something that is like a multiple choice or a true, false, or some kind of question like that I can answer quickly. My final example of what not to do is it's very quick to say, do you believe in God? But it's not really a fair thing to text somebody, if you get my point. Like the answer is going to be a lot longer than that. Okay, so you can text me anytime, and you can text me at 2 in the morning. If I'm asleep, I just won't see it. No worries. But just text me things that I can solve quickly for you, okay? Or text me, I need to make an appointment with you, Yaverbow, and then we will, okay? But you can definitely text. And you can definitely text to say, like, I'm suffering. Like, I won't solve it in the text, but we can figure out a plan in the text, okay? Okay, now, I know I'm babbling, but I feel bad because you did just remind me so you have a different, okay, so your lab instructor. Your lab instructor for 102 will be Professor Talley, who fully came in and fully replaced Professor Tarnawa. Or you might know her as, does anybody know Professor Talley? Or you might know her as Mercedes. Did you have her as a lab tech in 101? Does anybody know who I'm talking about? Can you, is that a no? Jake Moses? No. Okay. All right. I will tell you. Oh, only remember the age. Okay. All right. All right. So you're going to have Professor Talley, Mercedes Talley, as your 102 lab instructor. She is, Tarnawa just left like 3 days ago. That's just a fact. And Professor Talley, we got Professor Talley to step in immediately, which is amazing and totally to her credit. She's also taking over both the 101 courses that you don't have to deal with anymore. She's taking on a lot super fast. And we trust her to do that. It's a credit to her ambition. It's a credit to her background talent. It's a credit to her professionalism. And yes, once upon a time, a long time ago, she was a student of mine. I mean, that whatever that means. Now, has she been teaching 102 lab for a million years? No. Have I been teaching this for a million years? Yes. Part of what we're going to do this semester, that is my plan even for today, I think even for today, what we're going to do, since you notice we have lecture first and then you have lab next week, that's not the way it used to go, but it happens to go that way now. We're going to spend, in general, maybe not in general, we're going to spend a significant portion of our time during the lecture periods getting you ready for lab. I'm going to explain the labs in advance during the lecture period. I'm going to explain to you like what I want you to get out of them. We're going to try to reduce the amount of we're going to try to reduce how much you actually have to submit from lab. Like, you will sometimes have to submit reports, of course, and you will have to get some grades in lab, but we're going to try to streamline things. So a lot of the grades you get in lab and stuff will be for how well you participate and how hard you try right then and there in the lab room in front of Professor Talley. And you ultimately, just to be super clear about how grades work. I mean, I haven't told you my grading system and stuff yet, but the way it works at John Jay, and this is not what I'm about to say, is I don't think it's not true at Fordham, and I don't think it's true at York. The way things work at John Jay is you do a bunch of work in your lab and you get a bunch of grades in your lab, and they all amount to a certain grade in lab. But then those grades get sent to me, to your lecture instructor. And then I'm the one that compiles ultimately a final grade for the whole course, like incorporating in your lab grades for sure. But I'm the one that compiles one final grade for your whole course. And I'm the one that submits that grade to CUNY first. I mean, that would be true even if I weren't me, but that is the way it is. So I want to make clear right now, ultimately, your grade is in my hands. Your well-being is in my hands. I care about your well-being. I trust Mercedes with you, and I'm going to trust you with Mercedes, and I think it's going to be great. And if you ever have any issues, you're first going to go to her. And if she has issues with you, she's first going to go to you, and you'll first get your grades, your lab grades from her and all that stuff. But if you start feeling anything, whatever, resentment, insecurity, whatever, you're going to come to me, and you're going to know that that in the end, you can't get blindsided by somebody else. At the end, your grade is going to come from me. And if that's, I mean, hopefully also your just general well-being. But if your ultimate concern is your ultimate grade in this class, if that's really what it's all about to you, then that begins and ends here. So I want you to take advantage of the texting or of the office hours and the emails. Like, if you have issues as they bubble, let me know. Let's work together to make this okay. To make it as high success grade as possible, as much physics education as possible, as much honesty and integrity as possible, and as little stress as possible. Am I making? So we're going to talk, generally speaking, we're going to try to prepare you for the lab during this time before you even go to the lab the next day. Even today, I'm going to try to do that. I know I'm like using a lot of time on all this karmic stuff, but does that make sense so far? Is it okay? Okay. Okay. Now, I'm just looking at the chat. Okay. Keep the chat stuff coming. This is cool. Yeah. And again, let me just also reiterate, we know you've been through a lot, and some of you have been through other things, but well, okay, I'm going to shift gears now. I'm going to start getting us. I haven't still told you how your grade is determined, and I know you care, or like what kind of work is expected for me, and presumably you care. So we're going to shift gears now. I'm going to assume that all of you, I believe, yeah, all of you are hooked into the Google Classroom. That's great. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Hopefully you also have it sort of in front of you. I'm going to use the Google Classroom right now to show you in part how grades work and how work gets submitted and stuff. And right now, we're going to do some work together, and you're going to submit it to get some points right now so we can get this going in action before we even get to physics. So hold on, so bear with me. But again, if you have anything, put it in the chat or turn off I've noticed already that people were already turning off their mic and saying things, which I really appreciate. As you can see, I have no off switch. I will just keep talking until someone says something. So you should feel free to interrupt at any time and just say things if you're at all comfortable doing that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, and someone's here. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm going to share. Okay. So what you're seeing on your screen now is Google Classroom. Yours looks a little different on your side, obviously, because yours is like the student side. Like you're seeing some things that are grayed out here. Those are things that I haven't uploaded yet that are from past semesters. So you don't see those on your side. But under Google Classroom, under classwork, you see first there's the Zoom link. Okay, that's always the same Zoom link. That's where we'll always meet for lecture. Fine. Then you'll see it says YouTube classes. I want to be clear about that. I do have a YouTube channel, or we have a physics YouTube channel, which the link is right there. You can go there at any time, and what you will find there is all these different playlists of all these different classes from ever since COVID happened, basically, including Physics 102. You will find a whole bunch of recorded classes from Physics 102 from past semesters, which you're welcome to consult at any time, especially if you're absent or an exam is coming up or whatever. You will also note that this class is being recorded. We could talk about this too. I'm really psyched that you're all showing video and all that, but the class is being recorded, and I will, when it's over, I mean, for your sake, it's being recorded. Oh, I think someone just stopped their video because of that. But, and I will post, even though today we're just like yammering, when the class is over, I will post it to the YouTube channel so that you can access it and see what you missed or slow it down. Like obviously the material will start getting thicker than what I'm doing right now. So you can always access anything we did by finding it in the YouTube channel, and they'll always be posted straight to Google Classroom once they upload, just so you know. Furthermore, generally I have this whiteboard going on. It's not on now. Right now I'm sharing the screen, but generally I have a whiteboard where I take notes as I'm solving problems and so forth. And of course, I encourage you to take notes as well. But anything I do, and that's an understatement, like you've got to take notes. But anything I do on the whiteboard that you'll see on the screen, anything I do there is always turns into a PDF, which will get dropped at the end of class into your Google Classroom as well. In fact, you'll see, like it says here, class notes. I mean, there's nothing there yet. But every time we have a class, whatever I did on the board will be PDF'd to you. Okay, so I'm just letting you know. But then, of course, there's assignments. Now, and some of them you'll see are already due next week or due at the end of class. Let's talk about them. Okay, the first topic of the semester is this simple harmonic oscillation. That's our first topic. You'll see that we have 2 homework assignments under that topic that in theory are due next week. I mean next class. We're going to address them. One of them we might even have time to do today together. One of them is a little harder. We'll talk about that. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that briefly right now. Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. Hold on. That's 1A. Let me just show you one. I'm going backwards here. 1B, this is homework 1B. That's on the screen right now. Now, this is in theory due next week. This is real physics. It involves physics equations and quantitative solutions that in principle, this material is transition material. In principle, the material that you're being asked about a spring here, a mass on a spring, you're being asked questions about it. In principle, you saw this relates to material that you would have seen at the end of your Physics 1 class, in principle, or in the middle. It's not meant as diagnostic. It's meant as to recall and refresh and review stuff that we need and transition us to the new material. Some of the questions start off maybe somewhat straightforward. They get harder and harder. Okay, by the time the questions get to 9, it's super hard. I'm going to tell you right now. Now, I'm going to tell you that so this sheet is legitimate homework. This sheet is worth something like 35 points or something like that. And we're going to talk about points in a second. That's in theory due next Wednesday. I'm going to tell you right now that I do want you to hand in something for next Wednesday, for sure. I'll tell you the kind of thing I want handed in, but I'm going to tell you right now that as long as you hand in something that is careful and thorough and honest and clear, then even if it's not perfect or even if it's not finished, I'm going to tell you right now that we're going to have more time to re-upload it and revise it and do better the next week. We're going to actually spend a while on this assignment. You're going to make what you're handing in next Wednesday is in effect a first draft. You'll get a bunch of points for handing that in. But even if you don't get all the points that this is worth, what is it worth? It's worth, I can't remember. Like, even if you don't get all the points, that just means you haven't gotten all the points yet. You will have more time. Sorry, it's getting crazy. You'll have more time to get more points as we discuss it more. And even if I start giving answers in class or explanations, and then you use those to go back and fix your homework and re-upload it, that will be fine, and you'll get more points. And that's the way it will always be. Every time you hand in a real like physics homework like that, in a way, it is a draft, and you will have, in a sense, infinite time to eventually get all the points you want, if you want. Now, eventually other things will stack up and it'll be hard to keep up with the stack. So, but you'll have plenty of time to get all the points on that homework. And what I want for next Wednesday is just a valiant, honest attempt. Let me be more specific now that I'm talking about that. And let me be more specific about what I mean by a valiant attempt. This is how homework looks to me when we do it. What I expect with homework is that most of us still would prefer to do physics homework like with pencil and paper. That includes me. I expect that most of you still feel more comfortable, or maybe some of you have tablets and stuff, that's fine. But I am not expecting that most of you will want to type direct. I'm expecting most of you will not want to type directly into a Google Doc or something to do this homework. If you do, that's fine, but I'm not expecting it. What I'm expecting is that most of you will take out a separate, clean, blank sheet of paper or a separate document or on a tablet, and you'll start writing out this homework as though what you were writing in was a blue book. Like, you won't write directly on the sheet, you'll write on a separate sheet. And I have a method for how you're going to do that, which I will share with you ultimately. But you're just going to start writing out answers, processes and thought processes and work and all of that, and showing all your work, and then circling your answers and things like that. And then you'll end up with a document that probably is more than one page. And what I'm expecting is that in say you have 3 pieces of paper that it took to do this homework, at least to do the first draft of this homework, then I'm expecting you're going to take those 3 pages and you're either going to photograph them, or you're going to scan them somehow. And you're going to then, after scanning them, you're going to compile them together into one file. To many of you, this is obvious. To some of you, this is more challenging or weird. To some of you, it's challenging and weird. But to do homework to me means that you do out homework as though you were writing in a blue book. And then you take a bunch of pictures or whatever is necessary, and you compile all your work into one file, either a Google Doc file or preferably, honestly, a PDF. And then you'll upload that file to the assignment portal. And again, you'll think of it as a rough draft. You'll upload something so that I see it and see that you're working, and I give you some points, and then you'll find out what needs more to be done, and you'll re-upload later and you'll get more points. And if you're a little bit late with the first, if you're eventually a little bit late with that's okay. I mean, I don't think you want to be late with the first assignment, but it's just an ongoing process of you submitting things, me giving you feedback, and then you submitting more for more points. Okay. But it is on a separate sheet of paper. It's compiled as one file. The one thing that drives me crazy that I don't want is, like, for one assignment, like 14 different JPEGs, like that. I can't, there's 1,000 reasons I can't deal with that. But okay. So with this homework that I'm talking about right now, with 1B, whether we get to a lot of it today or not, you're going to make your best attempt. You're going to look at your old notes from Physics 101 or Physics 1, whatever. You can go on the web. Absolutely. You can help each other. Absolutely. You could do whatever it takes to learn. You can go to Khan Academy, whatever. But you're going to try to come up with solutions to that homework as best you can by next Wednesday. What constitutes cheating? The only thing that constitutes cheating is writing down things that you don't understand. You can write down things that you got from your friend. You can write down things that you got from your uncle or your aunt, who's a Nobel Prize winning physicist. You can write down things from Khan Academy, but just once you write them, I assume that means you actually understand them. Don't write down things you don't understand. And I do know the difference, and we'll talk about that. But let me pause for a second. So, but you're just going to make your best attempt for homework 1B. But by next week, I'm going to start giving you a 5-step solution method for exactly how to solve these problems. But I'm not even going to, but right now I just want to see your best attempt left to your own devices. So before I go any further, can I just see, can I just see electronic hands if it's clear, like what I'm asking for Wednesday on this? Like, is it, yeah, cool. Thank you, Eugene. I appreciate it. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Jake Moss. Thank you, Isabella. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Coco. Sorry, I can't see everybody at once. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Remy. Thank you, Salady. Awesome. Okay. If I didn't say your name, I'm sorry. I just can't see everybody because I'm screen sharing. Okay. And again, hopefully you understand you cannot do damage to yourself. You cannot screw up your grade by screwing up this assignment. You don't want to not turn something in. You want to turn something in. But as long as you turn something in, we're just getting our machine going. We're starting to build points for your grade. There's no way you can hurt it. Now I'm going to be more specific. So that's homework 1B. I'm starting with that because that's like the hardest thing you have to try to do for next Wednesday. That's the hardest thing you have to do for next Wednesday. Let me backtrack now and talk about, well, homework 1A is similar, but we're going to do that together in a minute. Let me scroll now to this almost more important thing. Homework 0, points in participation. Okay. You will see here. I think I'm still screen sharing. I hope. Yeah. Okay. You will see here, and this we may also do together today. You will see here that there's this category called homework 0, game, points in participation. This is where we accumulate a lot of points. All of us will be accumulating points throughout the semester for various different ways of participating and engaging in this Zoom class. Okay. Regular homework, like we just described 1B, each one of those homeworks is worth some number of points. Like that one, I think was worth 35. It might've been 20. I don't remember. Those accumulate points. Each of these game participation things also accumulate points. This one is only 5 points. I'll explain that in a second. And I'm going to explain what happens with points. Obviously, I will explain, but just know for the record, know for the moment, points are points. Whether you get 35 points on a hard quantitative physics problem set, or you get 5 points from a game thing like this, they're going in the same bucket. They're all going into a points bucket that will severely help your grade at the end when I explain how. But so trust that every point means something. And every point that you don't take advantage of, every game turn that you don't do, every homework that you don't do is not a punishment. It's not a 0. It's just a nothing. It just doesn't help you. So in some ways, all these things that I'm explaining right now, regular homework that's due next Wednesday, or this game homework that's due at midnight tonight, all of it you could argue is extra credit in a sense. You could do none of this. And as long as your exam grades are high enough, then you'll get a high grade in the class. End of discussion. But most people don't do that well on exams to take that risk. And most people find that most of this stuff that I'm about to explain is not hard, and is worth doing. So let me explain. Every class is a turn in the participation game. Every class is a turn. Today's class 1, so it's turn 1. The next class will be turn 2. The instructions on turn 2 will be the exact same as the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. Every class, what I'm asking you to do by midnight of that night is to open up a doc, like right here in the assignment portal, and submit one sentence and or one screenshot or one little fragment informally that reminds me of some way in which you participated today. This should be a moment of self-reflection that will take basically a moment. So, and I want it to be done by midnight tonight because while it's still fresh. So you will see, I can't do it on my side because I have the teacher side, but on your side, if you look at this portal right now on your side or on your phone or whatever, and I highly recommend the Google Classroom phone app. I'm not being paid to say that, but like if you've never used it before, it totally works. But on your side right now, if you open up this portal, you'll see a plus sign where it'll allow you to create a fresh Google Doc or a fresh Word doc or something like that. And all I'm asking you to do is to open up a doc and just write like one sentence that says, for example, I told you today that I took physics 1 at York College. That's it. That's all, right? I mean, you could say a lot if you want, or as class progresses, it might get more. You might end up saying something like, "Oh, today I screen shared with the whole class and solved problem 3 from the homework, and work with a partner to show everybody like the brilliance of harmonic motion." Like it might get more elaborate as we're going, but all I need is one sentence of one way in which you participated today, and that actually could be as simple as I said hello in the chat. Now, I mean, is that ideal? Is that all you want to say every single time? Probably not. Like that probably sends a weird message to me after a while if that's all you ever do. But it's totally fine if you write, I said hello in the chat, which is why, in fact, it's good to say hello in the chat. Or you could say, I turned my mic on and said hello right when we started class today. Totally great. Or you could say, I showed video today. Totally great. Whatever it is. Now, there's more to this, but I'm saying every single class, this is due by midnight. If you just write one sentence that shows how you participated, you get 5 points added to your bucket. If you miss the midnight deadline and you do it tomorrow, you'll get 4 points instead of 5. But after a couple of days, then I do care about time limits. These are stupid. These are not worth, you can't like at the end of the semester, go back and do 1 million of these. That defeats the purpose. But if you do it tonight by midnight, you get 5 points. If you do it like tomorrow, you get 4 points. And I'm going to say right now, so that we can get the system going. Well, in a minute, I'm going to say, do it right now, even while I'm talking, especially if you're bored. If you've already said hello or done something in today's class or shown video, even for a minute, sorry, Lula, then right now, see if it works. Open up a document and just write, I showed video on the first class. And within about 10 minutes, I'm going to give you the points so that we're going to make sure that we're off and running, that we both understand how Google Classroom works and how I work it and how this system works. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to tell you where these points are going, but feel free right now to get the points so that we can start off on a good foot. There will be other portals for this game thing. Like every day is a turn for 5 points, but you're going to see soon, maybe by the end of today, maybe tomorrow, I start opening up other portals, such as a game video, 10 points, where and you'll see those other portals are not due at midnight tonight. Those other portals, they'll all say like due May 1st or something like toward the end of the semester. That means they're open all the time for use at any time. So one example is there'll be a portal that, okay, I'll open it right now. Hold on one. Just so you can see what I'm talking about. Hold on. And I am watching the clock, I promise. Ooh, hello. Don't know what. Wait, hello, sorry. Okay. Bear with me for a second, I apologize. Come on. I guess this is kind of, this might be stupid if I'm trying to do this while no, here we go. Okay. Okay, you're going to see now, there's just an example. There's many like this. You're going to see now, I believe, that on your side, that a portal just opened up, which says a game video. Or can I see electronic? Did anybody? Yes, homework. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm seeing the chat. Yeah, homework will be assigned weekly. Yes, homework will be assigned weekly. Some homeworks are bigger than others. And the very first one I'm going to tell you right now, you have a couple. You're going to end up having a couple of weeks to do. There will be an extension on it, so there probably won't be a fresh homework next week. But yeah, in general, homework will be assigned weekly. And I'll tell you how the grading of that works in a second. But yeah, good question. Can anybody tell me with their electronic hands, are you seeing on your side?
Yeah, it's on there.
Great. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I appreciate the participation. So here's the deal. Like, first of all, those of you who just said yes, like you could write that down for I said yes today. Like, and that's 5 points. But some of you are saying yes while your video is on. So there's this portal for video. And again, it's not to shame anybody who's not. Sometimes we can't. I get that. But anytime you do show video, I'm saying you can now submit that into this portal. It's open like the whole semester. If you show video and they just like screenshot it or whatever, put it into that portal, you get 9 points for that. Can you do it again tomorrow? Yes. And you'll get 9, or next week, and you'll get 9 points again next week. And part of this is, right, so that's an example. Also, you'll see that there's a portal that opens it where using your voice at all gives you points. So someone who just said yes right now with their voice while they're on video, they could take that same moment and triple dip it. And they should. Like literally, they could write out and they could screenshot like, I said yes with my voice while showing video. And they could put that in today's game turn for 5 points, put it in the video portal for 9 points, whatever it is, and put it in the voice portal as soon as that opens for another 7 points or whatever that is. And they should do that. And part of what I'm trying, and you'll see other portals. Oh, sorry, question. I'm sorry, what? Or was that? Yeah. No, I buried Paul. No, okay. Now, none of this is to shame anybody who's not doing. The purpose of why I have all these different portals is to say that there's 1,000 ways to engage. There's also going to be a portal that just says if you take class notes that are really good screenshot. Yeah, like take a photograph of your class notes and send that to me, and that counts. Like, I'm not saying everybody has to talk all the time. I'm not saying everybody has to be public all the time. And I'm also not, so I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a million ways, and any way that you ever engage, I want you to keep note of it and just tell me in any portal that applies, and you get the points for that. So everybody should be able to collect points like for whatever their skill set is or whatever they're comfortable. And if anybody ever has an idea, if you ever feel like, what I always do is like, I draw really well all the time, and I'm always drawing what he's saying, but like he doesn't give me any credit for that. Send me a text that says, can you open a portal for good drawings? And I will, like for real. I mean, unless I forget, but like then tell me twice. Part of what and I still haven't told you where all these points go, and I will tell you, but I am trying to tell you that anytime you ever engage at all, you should remember to acknowledge that in yourself and to me, and just send me the reminder in the appropriate portal. And it takes you 2 seconds to do, and it'll take me 2 seconds to respond. And you just get points that way. It's also to say, like, I'm really excited that some people are showing video right now. I am. It makes the class better, even though I'm not looking at them right now because I'm looking at the Google Classroom. But I also know that one reason that sometimes people don't show video, here, I'm going to stop the share for a second. One reason that sometimes people don't show video is they're afraid that if they do show it and then they want to go do something, or they want to stop paying attention, or blah, 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 then they're afraid that now that they've shown it, if it goes off, then that sends a weird signal or something. I totally get that, but I'm here to say no. Like, I'm a big believer. Good things should be rewarded. Bad things should be ignored. I mean, that's a little blunt, but like, I don't care about the thing when you're not doing something that's like extra special. I don't care. I'm not paying attention. But you shouldn't not do video because you're afraid that that sets a precedent that you have to always do video. You don't. If you walk away, I assume that your house is on fire. Really. Actually, honestly, if you walk away, I just forget about you and I talk to the people who are still there or whatever. So, or something like that. So any of these things, if you use your voice once, get the points for it, and don't think it's setting you up for a dangerous precedent. Okay, really. Am I making sense? Does this make sense so far? Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at all those nods. See, like half the room just nodded. You know how happy that makes me? Okay. That's awesome. Now here's how the points work. I mean, here's where all those points are going, okay? You will have, I mean, if this is like a normal semester, you'll have a midterm exam, like not yet, you'll have a midterm exam that we'll talk about before we get there, that we will schedule together as a group to some extent. It'll be in the middle of the semester. It will be take home. It will be open universe. We'll talk about that, but it'll be a take home exam that you will submit to Google Classroom as though it's one big assignment, which is also why we're practicing the Google Classroom now and making sure with assignments that we're all cool with how Google Classroom works. Because by the time you take your midterm exam, it's just going to be a big document that you upload to Google Classroom. Okay. And you will probably have a practice exam document before you even get that exam, where I show you the rough draft of the exam and you get to see what it's going to look like before you even take it. And we'll talk about that too. But so whatever, you have a midterm exam, you'll have a final exam, same system, take home, blah, blah, blah. And you'll have a final grade in lab that will be the accumulation of all the work you do in lab. And again, I'm suggesting that we might have less, you might not be submitting as much to lab as you once upon a time would have, because I know you're in a tricky situation, but you'll get a grade at the end of lab. So those are three numbers: midterm exam, final exam, lab grade. Okay, those three numbers will get averaged together and make your base average. I won't throw away any of those numbers because there's only three of them. I won't throw away any of those three numbers. And I don't generally curve, but on the exams, there's generally extra credit opportunities and things that boost the numbers after I see them, not curves, but extra credit things. And sometimes what I do is at the end of the semester, I tell everybody, because you've been a good group, whatever, I'll sometimes say that of your two exams that you took with me, the one that you did better on, I will weight slightly heavier in the average. I will sometimes do things like that. I will never surprisingly do something that's meant to bring the grades down, but I will sometimes do things that will try to give you more credit for the better work you've done. But in any event, you get three numbers: two test numbers, two exam numbers, and one lab number. Those get averaged together to make a base average. That's your base average. Then, and stop me if this does not make sense, I'll be happy to repeat it. I mean, it's technically in the syllabus, but it's not really clear in the syllabus. It's not really clear in the syllabus. You get those three numbers averaged together. Then all the points that you're accumulating throughout the semester, from any homeworks we've done, from any of these participation game things we've done, all those points that are accumulating throughout the semester, they're accumulating in a pile for each one of you. It ends up usually being like 100 points or hundreds of points or something that accumulate. At the end of the semester, I come up with a scaling factor that is different every semester, but is the same for all students. I'll come up with some scaling factor like let's say the scaling factor of 10. And what that will mean is your entire pile of points will be divided by that scaling factor, and the result will be added to your test average. Example, say I say at the end of the semester that the scaling factor is 10, and say you've accumulated 120 points of homework and participation and all of that. So say you've accumulated 120 points. Well, I can't add 120 points to your test average, but if I say the scaling factor is 10, that means I divide 120. So if I say the scaling factor is 10, that means that applies to every student. But you might have 120 points and your friend might have 150 points and your other friend might have 80 points, whatever. But you have 120 points. If I say the scaling factor at the end is 10, you'll divide 120 by 10 and get 12. And that means I'm literally going to add 12 to your test average. And when I add 12 to your test average, then we're almost at your final grade now. By the way, so far, this is a very realistic example. It's just an example. And it won't be the same for all of you. But for someone who does the homework regularly and tries and does and submits participation points to something, getting something like 12 points on their average is realistic. Some people get more, so obviously some people get less. But my scaling factor is designed so that after you take your exams, you could get enough extra points that it could literally change your grade by like a full grade. It's the point of it. Then after those points are added to your test average, then I have the right or the prerogative to add one more point for class citizenship to anybody and everybody I choose. Like anybody who's been a citizen at all, like you've been showing up, you've been telling me when you can't show up, or you've been trying the homework, you've just been, basically a good citizen. I can add one more point to your average for good citizenship. Well, just looking, okay. And then that, whatever, your test average, possibly weighted to help you, plus all your scaled down points for participation, plus 1 point for citizenship is your final grade in the class. It is designed so that people that are good at exams and people that work and do what they're supposed to and do what's asked and stay with the material and try, either of those people should be able to get a good grade in the class. If you just stay with me and do what's asked, or let me know if while you're having problems. It's designed so that there can be a lot of A's or B pluses or whatever in the group. Couple more quick things about and that's not a joke, and it's not, and if you do end up with an A or a B plus or whatever in this class, you should know right now that it's not a gift. You've earned it. You've earned it from doing one or more things in the class that aren't just necessarily exams. A couple more things about this system, and I'm going to pause to make sure you understand it or whatever. I don't believe it's generous. I do believe it's compassionate. Like I believe it's designed to recognize the different ways that people can be a student. I get away with it. I can give a lot of A's or a lot of B. I can record a lot of A's or a lot of B pluses semester after semester and not get in trouble for violating some curve or not lose my tenure or whatever. One of the reasons that I can do this semester after semester is because, just to be clear, every semester there always are a few people that don't get a good grade. Every semester, there are people that get a D or an F or C minus, usually because they have life circumstances, to be honest, or usually because something's gone wrong and they can't even meet the expectations or show up, or they just fade, or they ghost, or whatever, or they're angry. I mean, usually anybody that's really actually trying will get a good grade, but there's always enough people that don't, for whatever reasons, that means that the system can survive, that it means that if you do get a good grade, you did earn it, and it wasn't a joke, and it wasn't a gift, and there's no backsies, because there's always some people that don't get good grades in this class, and frankly they keep the system alive for everybody else in a weird way. If that makes any, I don't mean that rudely, but and so if you feel ever that you're going to be one of those people, reach out to me before it happens, because I don't want you to be one of those people, and there's no reason you should be. The one extra point for citizenship, the reason for that system is, I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I bet you have at Fordham. I don't know if you've ever experienced the following, but for example, like an 87 is supposed to be a B plus and an 86 is supposed to be a B, right? Well, especially in science departments are notorious for like a student ends up with like an 86.8 or something, and then the science teacher or whatever said, well, the clear policy is we round or whatever it is, or they get an 86.57 or 47. And then the science professor is like, well, you know how significant digits work, and the policy is clear, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, if you had an 87, you'd have a B plus, but you have 86, so you have a B, and now you can't go to graduate school or whatever. I mean, or whatever it is. I mean, I believe in significant digits, believe me, and I believe in science, and I love my colleagues. I'm not trying that to disparage any of my colleagues, but I'll tell you this, that most of my colleagues that can get away with that are a lot more perfect than I am in managing their records and managing their lives. I am not perfect enough to be able to insist that I don't make errors in the second significant digit of your life. Like there's just I just don't have that much confidence in my significant digits to be able to change your future over like the second digit after the decimal point. So my point is, if you're a reasonable citizen at all, you get an extra point which many of you won't even need or ever notice or care. But for any of you who's right on the bubble where rounding would have made the freaking difference between one life and another, you get the extra point. So we don't even have to have that discussion. That's what that extra point is for. So if you're a reasonable citizen, it doesn't mean you have to like talk all the time. It just means you have to be a citizen, and you'll get that. And a good person who doesn't like talk about my mother behind my back, then you'll get that point and we don't have to worry. And then the other reason for it is when all is said and done, and I'll pause on this. I know we have to get to other things, but just so we can get to know each other. My whole system is designed so that as many people can do as well as possible. That's what I want. But then also when all is said and done, after this whole system, if you understand it and you get it and work with it, then also I feel like at the end, the grade you get, we should both know was probably the most compassionate, reasonable, tie goes to the runner type of grade you could possibly get. And probably then, it doesn't mean I don't make mistakes, and it doesn't mean you can't ask me, like, did you make a mistake? Can I? But if I didn't make a mistake and there wasn't a mistake and you got the grade you got, then at the end, hopefully, we don't have any bad feeling over that. We both know that we both tried our best and that is the best grade you possibly could have gotten. It doesn't mean I don't make mistakes and can't take them back. But I mean, I've changed grades before. But I am saying probably we walk away friends, not enemies. And I write you a great recommendation for graduate school when all is said and done, even if you did end up with a B- or whatever, because we both know it probably was for circumstances that don't have to do with us. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second. Does the grading system sort? Oh, I'm going to look in the chat. Actually, sorry, hold on. I'm going to look in the chat. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, cool. Wait, I'm looking in the chat. Okay, cool. So homework will be assigned weekly. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Marina, so I'm going to deal with this one. And again, even if this is all we get done today. Well, so yes, to Marina, midterm final lab are each worth 33%. Yes. Like they are each worth 33% of the base average, but I want to be clear. So yes, 33%, but let me be clear again. Like it's very, very conceivable that you could have a base average of 76 and still end up with like a B+ in the class. And what that means is that homework and participation is counting for a very big percentage in this class. Like each of those three numbers is 33% of your base or your exam average. But the truth is your overall number that you're getting in this class has a big percentage contributing to it that's coming from none of those three numbers. So the real honest answer is midterm final lab are each worth something closer to like 22% or something. And I can't say exactly the reason. I'm not trying to be evasive, but the reason I can't say exactly is because the amount that your homework ended up counting depends on how much homework you ended up doing. So it's not a strict average that way. It's an average, and then we add points on top of that. I hope, and I'm going to say right now, I hope Marina, tell me if my answer is clear. I'm also, I hope it is. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep looking at the chat. But let me
Yes, it's actually very clear. So what I understood from it is that the midterm final lab, those are the like foundation base grades. And then on top of that, you'll have opportunities to increase your grade with homework, participation, the games.
Exactly. Yes. So you do get it. And thank you for clarifying. And I totally appreciate it. And she could submit for points for using voice, for everything. Yes. And yes, all these other opportunities, all the other points, right, are extra in the sense that they're just all extra opportunities to boost your grades. And yes, there could be people in this room that never do them at all. And if their exam grades are high enough, that's fine. But also to make it clear to everybody, like the reason I don't call them extra credit is because they're so significant. It would be misleading. Like sometimes extra credit boosts you a little bit, but these can literally change you. Like they can, change you by a full grade, and that's deliberate. So, but yes, you get it. She gets it. Let me also say there's going to be a portal and I'm going to go back to the chat in a second. There's a portal that opens up, one of the many participation portals. One of them is going to open up, if I remember in 2 seconds, I'll do it in 2 seconds, is called Closing a Conversational Path. And an example of what I mean by that is what Marina just did. If ever you ask a question, even privately, but if you ask a question in chat or in voice or whatever, and then so you get points for that already because you asked a question, right? But then if I answer it, and then you, Marina, whoever, anybody, if you then say, okay, got it, thank you, or okay, it's clear now, or whatever, if you give any indication that you're now good and the matter is now settled, I call that closing a conversational path. And there's a portal to get points just for doing that. Literally just for saying, thank you, I got it. You might think that's crazy. It's partly I'm rewarding politeness, I suppose, but I think it's really important for everybody. I think it's really important. Like if you're going to ask and I'm going to answer, we both need to know whether the answer landed or not. And it's helpful for everybody else. Also, as you see, I talk a lot. So if you ask a question and then you put in chat or whatever, or you go like, thank you, it's also a super polite, gentle way of being like, Yaverbam, you can move on now. Like we're all about to like fall asleep. Like it's help. So you get points for even doing that. Okay. And you'll also see there's going to be a portal that opens up for even giving a wrong answer. You get points for wrong answers because that takes so much risk and so much guts and so much vulnerability. I mean, you'll see there's like lots of, it's all the whole point portal thing, by the way, for anybody who cares, is totally based on Nook miles in Animal Crossing. If you care, like, and if you know what I'm talking about, like you get Nook miles for this, you get Nook miles for that. And then there's even weird ways where like you can literally submit that you got Nook mile. You can submit that you got Nook miles for the reward of getting more Nook miles. It's crazy. If you know what I'm talking about, this is what that's based on. And if you don't worry about it. It's a video game. But okay, all right. Let me go back okay. So now I'm going back to the chat. So in that example, wait. No, this is a great question, Sylvie. Thank you. Wait, where is Sylvie? Actually, wait. I didn't even say hello to her. I don't think. Wait, did I? Oh, hi. I did say hello. Hello. Good to see you. Okay. Thank you. Points. So wait, in my example, no, the 12 points totally, like basically you have your exam grade first, like from the 2 exams and from the lab. And then in my example, then the 12 points add to that, like, and that is now your final grade would be, and then plus you might get an extra point. Like you already, if you keep doing what you're doing, just like by being here, you get an extra point too. But yeah, like, the 12 points would go to your final overall grade in the class. Like, yeah, oh, I see. I think I see what you're asking. The 12 points in my example, it doesn't get added to one particular exam or something like that. It's not like extra credit on an exam. We might have that too. That happens. And I'll tell you, like when you all get your first exam back, I might say, okay, like for extra credit right now, let's all redo problem 2 right now. And you'll all raise your points. I mean, your score on this exam right now, like that could happen, but that's different. You're right. In my example of the 12 points that came from all of your participation homework, that literally 12 would get added onto your final grade. So I'm literally saying you could have a 77 exam average in this class, but if you do all these other things and keep submitting to Google Classroom, you conceivably, if you're like a typical person, could end up with a 89 average in the class. And then one more point makes 90. I don't know if am I actually answering, Sylvie, does that answer your question?
Like it goes to the, like after you already calculated everything, it goes like once everything is calculated.
Yes. Does that make sense? Oh, and yeah. So in terms of what she's saying, so the answer is yes, and thank you. And by the way, the fact that she just nodded in her video, that counts to me as like, she could submit that for closing a conversation once I open the portal. Like that counts. But I just realized also what's part of Sylvie's question, I think, is yes, this whole 12-point business, like when I plop it onto your average, that's me, what I do at the end of the semester after I've already even taken into account your lab grade. So yeah, it goes on the top. It's like a tax, what do you call it? It's not a tax deduction, it's a tax, I don't know, whatever. It goes on the top, like of the whole grade that you get for the class. Yes, it is. And just to everybody, I'm not trying to BS you. And I'm not trying to BS you or hypnotize you or something like that. You're going to find there's things about me you don't like for sure. But what I am trying to tell you right now is when it comes to grading and these kind of questions and taking exams, if I'm saying something, or if I have a policy and you could imagine 2 different ways to interpret it, you're like, wait, he could mean this, but that would be like kind of generous, or he could mean that, and that would be more the typical thing that most professors would mean. No, when it comes to this stuff, you can assume I mean the generous thing. I do. I want you to know that. And I'm partly saying all this, not just so that you like me or something like that, but partly so that you do trust me, because I think some of you have been burned and you have good reason not to have trust right now. So I would like to rebuild that. But also I'm saying all this really, I'm saying that a good grade is yours for the getting in this class. And I'm partly saying it so that you help each other. I'm saying it so that you can relax a little bit, lower your heart rates a little bit, and not view your classmates as your freaking enemies. Because I hate that. Okay, because it happens all the time and we know it. And it happened to me and I hate it. I hate it. I also have 2 children who go to school, 2 sons. Okay, and I'm seeing this from all perspectives. I want you to work together and not to each other's threats. And I want you to, what you're going to hate about me is all the things that I screw up by accident, but I don't want you, I want you to know that I'm attempting to be on your side, not against you. Okay, so I think that, okay, anyway, I'm going back to the, okay, I'm going back to the chat. Hold on, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay, cool. I appreciate, okay, thank you, Ashton. I appreciate that. No, I do appreciate that for real. Okay, cool. Oh, cool. Lower your heart. I am here to lower your heart rates. Good. No, good. Okay, cool. So I think we're together so far. There's more to do. Okay. Wait, oh. No, cool. Good. I'm glad. Also, I have a secret. I do have a secret, ulterior motive, which is I kind of want you to like physics when we're done with this. Yeah, there's that. But okay. Okay, let me I want to go back to the Google Classroom now. I would like to, I'm watching the time. All right, let's go to this Google Classroom. Let's just see. One thing is, yes, okay. So I'm noticing, 6 of you have already turned in the game term 1. Let's pause for a second. I think it would be good, and I think we have time. I would like to see all of you turn in this game turn 1 now. And even those who haven't said anything, just type hello in the chat, like right now or whatever. Do something. I'd like all of you to turn this in, and I'm going to turn it back to you all right now. I would like, before we go any further, for every single one of us to have gotten 5 points, partly so that I'm putting my money where my mouth is on this, especially now that you understand where the points are going. Let's start off with some money in the bank. That's number 1. Number 2, I want to make sure that we're clear on how the Google Classroom Exchange goes, because because this is how you're going to turn in exams and stuff. So let's make sure that the system is working. So I'm going to pause right now. 7 just turned in. That's awesome. So I'm going to pause right now. If you haven't turned in something yet or haven't done, please do it right now. Meanwhile, I'm going to look at your things right now, and I'm going to give you the points right now so you can see how it works. So give me a second. Yeah. And actually, I'm going to tell you this too. Normally on these things, I'll put a quick comment or a quick check or quick thank you. I mean, you're taking 1 second to write it. I'll take 1 second to comment on it. And, I have a tablet for doing that and stuff. But for right now, in the interest of efficiency, right now, I'm just going to give you the points. Like we're going to make sure that you turn this into me and that you got points back. I'm not giving comments or anything. I am reading them, but I'm not going to give comments. I'm just going to give you the points right now. And we're going to not go on until everybody has made sure that they see the points on their side. Okay. So hold on.
So would the points be seen on Google Classroom or would it be seen on Blackboard?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. And thank you for using your voice to do that. You will see them on Google Classroom, not on Blackboard. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this right now, to make sure we're all, for good or for bad, you'll never see anything on Blackboard. I apologize. I mean, in a way, that's something you might hate about me. I don't use Blackboard at all, but you will see these points on Google Classroom, and you'll see in a second how it looks on Google Classroom. Hold on. And that's why we're doing this right now. So let's see. Hold on.
Yes, I actually see it now under notifications. It says new grade from Professor Yaverbaum. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. Wait, and who was, sorry, I was off Zoom. I mean,
Marina.
Marina. Okay, great. Yes. So That's awesome. So yes, and this is why we're doing this now, so we can be on the same page. So I think Google Classroom is great with the notifications and stuff. And again, and you could do it on your phone, whatever. But yes, ideally, and I'll look again in a second. But most of you who turned it in, hopefully just got the 5 points back. Hopefully you see it on your phone or however in your notifications. And if you've never used Google Classroom before, let me also be clear. Anything you ever get back, and look, I'm going to warn you right now. Sometimes I'm slow about these things. It's something you won't like about. I do a lot of these little assignments so that I can keep up with you and give you points. But on the bigger homework, sometimes I'm slower than I should be, and that's bad. And I'm working on that. But whenever you get points from me, you'll get them in the Google Classroom, not in the Blackboard. And there's somewhere you can open up where it says grades. And it will open up an accumulation of all your grades so far or anything you owe. And that's great. The one thing I have to warn you is you see that my grading system is elaborate and the final grade can't get calculated until the end. So the one thing is Google Classroom won't tell you, I mean, it might tell you, but it won't correctly tell you what your actual grade is in the classroom as we're going. It'll tell you all your numbers that you've gotten. But even if it tries to average them together and give you some kind of average, that won't be accurate. I have to warn you that now. At any moment, you can always reach out to me and say, how am I doing in the class so far if you're nervous? And we'll try to figure it out. But I don't literally know your actual grade, until but Google Classroom will tell you all the numbers. Yes. So let me just go back to that for a second to make sure anybody who's, okay, good. So more people have turned it in. Great. Okay, so a lot of people, so if you turned it in at all, and again, I think this is worth doing this on the first day, so we're all on the same page. If you did it, wait, let me see. If you did it, we're talking about game turn 1. Oh, wait, no, I'm lying. Hold on a second. Oh, I'm lying. Pause for a second. And again, I'm not putting comments this time. I'm just reading them quickly and just giving the points just so we can have a transaction. Okay. If you did it, then I think you got it back. Oh, wait, no, I'm lying again. You guys are fast. All right, awesome. Okay, if you did it, I think you got it back. I'm not going to, and I would encourage you. I don't want to mention any names, but it would be great if all of you could do it right now. I think we would really be off to a great start if we could all, or if you could just private chat me, like if something's not working on your side, or you don't understand something, or you don't want to do it now. Because I will say that I believe all of you have participated in some way or another today. Okay. And someone's raising it. I'm sorry. Remy, I'm sorry. You have a question?
Yes, for the voice and the video one, is that two separate different assignments? Because I only see video.
Oh, right. No, great question. Yeah, it's two different portals. Yes, and only one of them is open right now. I could take a moment to. So every different kind of thing like video or voice or avatar, all of those will be different portals that I like open up as we go. The only one that's open right now, you're right, is the video one. That is true. So yes, every different thing is a different portal that you can use repeatedly if you want throughout the semester. I've only opened the video one right now just because I was opening it as an example. So let me know if you, and yeah, the conversation one, maybe I will take a moment. Well, all right, I'll open them right now. Give me a second. But those of you who
Appreciate
didn't,
it.
oh, okay, great. Okay, I'll do it right now. Sure. Okay, hold on. Hang on. And there's a couple more of you, I hope, turn in a minute. I'm gonna move to I'm gonna do what Remy's asking right now. Hang on 1 second. Hold on. Okay. Right. Okay.
And secondly, you said something about avatar. What was that?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell, good question. I'm gonna open it right now. What I said, or what I mean is, in the same way that you, sorry, hold on, sorry. In the same way that you can get points if you show video, similarly, if you even just show an avatar, I think it's called an avatar, if you just show like a, some kind of image on Zoom, like, some kind of image that even anything that's not just a black box, if you even show an image just so that it stands out, just so that you have like some personality that makes it easier for me to identify you, I call that an avatar. Maybe I'm using the wrong word, but that you could submit for points, and you could submit every time you do it. I'm about to post that one right now. Does that make sense? Like right now I'm posting these things so I can't see your face, but I mean, I'm
Yes,
not.
I understand.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, awesome. And any of these that I'm posting now, they're all due at the end of May. I might have messed up. I might have on one of them accidentally said May 31st. But basically the point of all these is you can do these at any time in the semester, and you can do them more than once. The turns are every night. So hopefully you see a bunch of them appearing on your side now. And I'm glad you asked, Remy. I mean, I might as well just do this now. It's easier for everybody. You're quite right. But in the past, sometimes people didn't seem to understand the system, so I didn't want to overwhelm them with everything until they sort of understood, but it seems like you guys understand. So yeah, I'm posting a bunch of these portals right now. Every one of these is optional. You just use them whenever they seem to apply. And if you're seeing them up here on your end right now, any one of you can right now just ask me, wait, I don't understand this one. I mean, sometimes you have to read them to understand, but I'm just posting them all right now just so we can get this out there. So please look at them right now. And if one of them doesn't make sense, let me know. And maybe you should use your voice because I'm doing it so I can't see you guys at the moment. But these are just all different ways to get points. I think you do understand that. And there'll be more as we think of them. Or there can be more as we think of them. Could someone tell me with their voice, are these populating on your side? Like, are you seeing things show up?
Yeah, they're showing up.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Okay. So there's just a couple more I'll do right now. And part of the point of this too is just to get you to be paying attention to what you do, if that makes sense. But whatever, I think you get it. Oh. Ooh, sorry. There's one. Okay, I think this is the last one for right now. Okay. Okay. I think. I mean, again, more might come, but that's the bait. Those are all the ones that I just mentioned anyway. I'm just looking if I missed it. Yeah. Oh. Oh yeah, one more. Okay. Okay. Some of them are, easier to understand than others, but But yes, again, the point is just at the end of a class, just like scroll through them and see if any of them applies to anything you did. And yes, you can like triple dip. I mean, if you said anybody who said something with their voice where they then said thank you after with their voice, you know, that same exact entry can go into like 3 of these, and that's totally fine. Okay, I'm gonna turn back to Zoom. Okay, but it's can I get, so are we clear? Does this make,
Professor,
oh yes.
sorry to interrupt.
No.
I sent you a message
Oh,
privately.
oh wait.
You just updating you what happened.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Let me see.
It's Catherine.
Wait, but you sent me a message to chat. Oh, sorry. Okay, hold on. Sorry.
Mhm.
Oh, it might have gone to my. Wait a minute. You did? You sent me a message to chat.
Yeah,
Which-
it's okay. I was just letting you know that I got kicked out because my device died and
Oh.
it takes a little while because it's old. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was a little bit lost of what we were doing.
You're cutting off.
You are cutting off. But oh, okay. But I understand what you're saying. But are you? But thank you. But are you sort of clear what's going on now? Are you okay now? Are
Not quite.
okay. One thing I think I know what's happening.
I know we're just going over the portals that you just posted.
Right. And one thing to make clear, you are in the Google Classroom. Yes, I think you are. You joined the Google Classroom.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the most important thing right now. And I think, yeah, all the portals that I just posted. to
Yes,
everybody-
yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And all the portals that I just posted are for any time. Like
I'm receiving.
Sorry. So the one thing I would ask, Catherine, try right now, if you can, try to submit game turn 1. That's what we're doing right now. All the other portals are optional for whatever during the semester, but for right now, and there's one other person who I don't want to mention anybody by names, but Catherine, can you try right now to open game turn 1 and submit it?
Yes, will do. Thank you.
Hold on. And we're going to change the subject. And once I think we're all together, we're going to change the subject and actually get into some physics here in a second. Okay. But I think I'm going to assume that we're mostly okay. I'm going to move on to, I mean, hopefully, Catherine, you could figure out how to do, or we could talk later, but if you could try to, if you, with game turn 1 and anybody else who didn't submit it, if you just open up game turn 1 and just start a new document and just literally say, I said hello in chat or something, and then submit it. That's all I'm looking for. And you'll get 5 points. But I'm going to move on now with everybody else. I know this is a long class. We have like 45 minutes. I was going to hope to do homework 1A with you also and get the points right now. It's still possible maybe that we'll do that, but I'll tell you right now that but there's a more important priority. So everybody, even if we don't, homework 1A is also due Monday. I mean, it's also due next Wednesday. Even if we don't get to do it together right now, we all just did game turn 1. So I think or most of us. So I'm pretty confident that we all know how to navigate Google Classroom now. With homework 1A, it's exploratory. It's meant for fun. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. The main thing is it asks you to try to do 5 tasks with 2 objects. And the main thing it's looking for is, can you decide on a basic gut level, on a basic gut human level, of those 5 tasks that it asks you to do with 2 objects? Some of those tasks are easy to do and some of them are impossible. Your whole job is just to decide which of them is possible and which is impossible. And again, don't overthink it. I'm not asking for some quantum mechanical, philosophical exception. Just like, some of them really are easy to do and some of them really are not easy to do. And the main thing you're looking for in homework 1A is just to basically go like possible, possible, impossible, 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 or whatever. There are other questions as well, but that's mainly what I'm looking for. Again, but just try it. I want you to have read it and thought about it, but don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. That's homework 1A. 1B is where you really want to put your time and your thought, and it will also help you with lab. And that's where I want to turn I know this is a long class. Again, we'll try to shake it up more in the future classes, like with breakout rooms and blah, blah, blah. But what I want to turn your attention to now, all of you, is getting us set for what's going to happen in lab next Monday. Okay. Now, again, you can stop me at any time in the direct chat or with any kind of questions or concerns or issues. But I do want to start. I want to prepare you for the lab. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. I'm just looking at the chat. Okay, I think we're all set in the chat. So I'm going to try to get my board back up here. Let's see. Yes. Okay. Okay. So here's my board. Anything I write here, I will put into it will be a PDF that I'll upload to Google Classroom when we're done. In lab, I'm not going to put you in groups. She'll put you in groups and stuff like that. But I'm going to try to orient you to lab right now. Okay, I'm just going to read it. Okay, I'm telling you how lab works in general. I'm just going to read this so you can read my handwriting. I'm going to turn the page. But so physics 102 lab. Okay, number 1, how lab works in general is what I'm first talking about here. In each lab, you'll be presented with one or a few what we call motions or claims. We're using the word motion. It's kind of a pun, but we're using the word motion the way they use it, like in a court of law, because this is John Jay, criminal justice in your college of criminal justice. You're going to get a motion, which is some sort of claim, some sort of statement or proposition, or just that, or often an equation. And you might get one, you might get a couple of them at the beginning of lab or in advance of lab. And your job you could consider it a hypothesis, I suppose, if you like, but you're going to get a simple statement that will often be in equation form. And your job in lab will be to investigate, to manipulate equipment to design enough so that by the end of the day, you've either shown that that claim is true or it's false. That's the basic idea of lab, is that you have some free, it's a lot of it is free form, a lot of it is up to you independently to work. We're going to give you equipment, obviously, and stuff like that. We're going to give you guidance, particularly the week before, like I'm about to do. But basically, so all right. And I'm going to tell you what the claim is for the first lab. But first of all, you're going to get a claim or two, a motion or two or three, usually in equation form, told in advance by me and put on the board by Professor Talley when you walk in. And your job in groups okay, so we're going to give you direction. We're going to tell you what you're trying to investigate. But sometimes what we're telling you is true and sometimes it's false. Now, you're never going to perfectly prove something to be true. You're never going to perfectly prove something to be false. I mean, it's experimentation. But the idea is that the equation you're getting is the idea is that it's either more reasonable to find that it's true or it's more reasonable to find that it's false. And that's your job. Sometimes you will have formal reports, sometimes you won't. We'll talk about all that as we go. But I'm going to give you the example. Okay, but so we'll give you the equipment. Okay, I'll say this too, sorry. Tell me if you want me to go back a page, sorry. Okay, obviously I'm going to give you an example in a second. The example will be the first lab, but labs are, well, and I guess you sort of had this experience in 101 now that I'm thinking about it too, and some of you may have found it very frustrating. 101 also is a little bit free form like this, like we don't have lab recipe. Well, certainly here, we don't have step-by-step lab recipes of how you're supposed to do each lab. To some people, that's very liberating, and to some people, that's very frustrating, but it's the truth either way. I'm going to get more specific now with the first, but I'll tell you, you're done with a lab when you could ultimately argue whether the equation is true or the equation is false. Again, sometimes you're going to end up putting that in a formal report. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes you just have to defend your work vocally to Professor Talley, blah, blah, blah. But the idea is that each lab, you're showing something to be true or something to be false. And I should also say, before I forget, each each week, I mean, this is sort of always true in science, I suppose, but each week, the next motion that we're establishing will assume that we've established the motions from the prior weeks. We are accumulating a set of statements or motions as though we were in a court of law. We're building a set of motions or statements or propositions that by the time we get to the end of class, we string together all these statements. And if we put them together in a sequence, we hopefully will have proven something specific about the world by the end of the class. In other words, there's a sequence to this that's deliberate. And the more you understand the prior motions, the more you'll hopefully see some insight as to the truth or falsity of future motions. But all right, let me get more specific and give you an example of what's going on this week.
Professor, does that say spring?
Oh, sorry, spring. Yes, yes. I will read out. Great question. Thank you. Was that Jake Moses? Who was that? Sorry, who? No.
It's Remy.
Oh, Remy, sorry. Okay, thank you. Yes, that says spring. And I will, sorry, I know my handwriting is, I'm getting nervous about the time. So yes, but yes, it does say spring. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to write the motion on the next page. This is not the motion. This is quite a complicated sentence, obviously, and I'll read it out loud first. But this is like the background or the conditional or the setup to what the motion is. So what this says in parentheses, and it is parentheses because it's just like background. What it says in parentheses is, given some reasonably uniform spring, comma, stationary on one end. God, this is axe murderer handwriting. I'm sorry. This might as well be a ransom note. Sorry. And that's probably offensive to say. I don't mean to offend anybody who's ever written a ransom note. Given some reasonably uniform spring, stationary on one end and attached to a reasonably large mass on the other end, the force exerted by the spring on the mass can be expressed ... Okay, and I'm going to write on the next page. Let me also say, I can read this again if you didn't catch my handwriting, if I said that too fast. There's nothing, as you can tell, I just scrawled this out right now. You don't even have to get too intense about the exact words. This isn't the exact words of this doesn't matter. What I'm just basically trying to say here is if you, and I'm going to draw a diagram in a second, but I'm saying if you, well, actually, let me draw the diagram. Tell me if you want me to turn back the page though. And also, sorry, let me add one more thing, sorry. Oh, no, okay. I'm saying right now, assume you have some spring. Assume you have some spring that's reasonably uniform, it's reasonably long, that's reasonably light. I'll explain all of that, that's reasonable, a reasonable spring in a lab. A spring whose stiffness is known as K. I'll explain that again in a second also. Assume you have some spring that's fixed on one end, so it's like attached to a wall on one end and attached to a mass, a block of mass on the other end. So maybe that spring is horizontal and it's fixed to a vertical wall, or maybe the spring is hanging from something like a rig stand or something like that. Picture some spring that has a mass attached to one end and is fixed on the other end. That's our setup, or that's our situation. Assume further, say one last thing. Okay. And assume that K stands for the stiffness of the spring, like how strong the spring is, how hard it is to stretch or compress, right? Assuming that K is some number measured in some units that we'll find out that represents how strong or stiff the spring is. Assuming all that, the question is, the motion is, okay. Now, by the way, this is an equation. It's either true or false. You might even think that you learned this equation or something like it in physics 1. Like you might even think that you already know that this equation is true, or you might think that you saw an equation like this in physics 101 or physics 1, but you know that there was supposed to be a squared in it or something. Like you might even think you remember that in physics 101, you learned that the equation was F equals negative kx squared. That's fine. I'm not going to get it. Any knowledge that you have from a prior class is fair game, and you should use it. If you think you remember something, terrific. You can use that at least to guide like what you want to try to do today. You might already walk in with an intuition, whether this thing is true or false. That is terrific either way. But no matter what, your job in the lab is to set up a situation where you can show what you think is true, whether you think this thing is true or false. Now I'm going to give more, we still have, again, I know it's a long class. We still have 25 minutes, so I'm going to get more specific now. Like on the one hand, in physics 102, we don't have recipes for labs. We don't have step-by-step procedures. It will be up to you in your lab groups to figure out what to do and to do it. But on the other hand, I'm certainly going to give you some guidance right now. Like I'm going to set you on a path, and you'll get more and more used to this as we go. I am going to tell you that whether this equation is true or false, I'm not like, if it's false, that means it's missing something or something. Like if it's false, that means there's supposed to be a square or something, but it's not nonsense. It's not like, it's not meaningless. It's either right or it's wrong. But F stands for force. F stands for the force that the spring would exert onto the mass. And we are assuming that you have some memory of what forces mean from physics 1. X is going to stand for displacement of the mass, say the center of the mass, from the equilibrium position, the spring equilibrium position. What do I mean by spring equilibrium position? I mean, okay, I'll try to be neater now. Sorry, I'm sometimes I actually can be neat on these boards, but the equilibrium position is exactly what it sounds like. It's the place where if you place the equilibrium position of the edge of the spring is where if you put the mass there, it just sits there. If you hold the mass anywhere other than equilibrium position and let it go, it starts moving towards there. Things can move through an equilibrium position. The equilibrium position is not, masses are not always at rest at equilibrium position. Like if you pull the mass out away from it and let it go, it'll start moving toward the equilibrium position. And I would claim that it probably won't stop there. It'll probably keep going for a while past it, and then maybe turn around and start heading toward it again or something. Things can move at an equilibrium position, but what they don't do is accelerate. If you place something at the equilibrium position, it will not automatically start moving away from there. That's what we mean by the equilibrium position. And we usually call that X equals 0. By the side note, I'll talk more about this, but whenever I use a triple equal sign, I mean equal by definition or is defined to be. I mean, we'll talk more about that, but if I use a double equal sign, just means equals, but triple equal sign means equal by definition. So wherever the mass is at equilibrium, we by definition call that X equals 0. Your job on Wednesday, you're going to get springs, you're going to get a spring or a bunch of springs, you're going to get a bunch of different masses that you can put on the springs, you're going to get a ring stand, you're going to get a ruler, you might even get a stopwatch too. You can also ask for any other equipment that you might think, any simple basic equipment that you might think you can use, you're allowed to ask for it. If we have it, we'll give it to you, but we'll set you up with these basic things. What you're trying to show or find out is it the case that F equals negative KX? Now, I'm looking at the time. X means displacement from equilibrium. Strictly speaking, you might remember from physics 1, displacement is different from distance. Displacement is a vector quantity. Displacement takes into account direction, right? So if this statement is true, F equals negative KX, what it would mean is that if we pull a mass out to here, if we pull a mass out to the right, and if we call right the positive direction, that we call left the negative direction, what that statement is claiming, that motion is claiming, is that if we hold the mass at some position out on the right, the statement is claiming that the spring would exert a force pointing to the left, like the negative sign. It claiming that the spring would exert a force to the left to try to pull the mass back in toward equilibrium. So the negative sign means that the force would be in the opposite direction from the displacement. But furthermore, if that statement is right, it's claiming that the farther out you pull it, the farther out you hold the mass from equilibrium, the harder the spring would pull on it, right? This statement, if it's true, is saying that force exerted by the spring is directly proportional to displacement. Let me be even more clear. I'm not trying to trick anybody, but I'm trying to say that's what this statement would mean if it's true. In fact, let me make one thing very clear. No matter what, this K, which means stiffness of spring, K means how stiff a given spring is. So whatever units that's measured in, or whatever we learn about, whatever we end up learning about K, one thing I can certainly tell you is K would be constant for a given spring. It wouldn't be the same from spring to spring, but a given spring would have a given amount of stiffness, and a given spring would be described by some K number. So if this statement is true, F equals negative KX, if it's true, it's kind of saying that if you were to well, I don't want to give everything away here, but it's saying that force is directly proportional to displacement. If the statement is true, it's saying that for a given spring with a given constant K, if the statement is true, if you pull the mass out twice as far, then the spring would exert twice as much of a force on that mass. That sounds reasonable, but it also sounds equally reasonable to me to say that springs just exert a certain force, so no matter where you pull the mass, they exert that same force. Or it also sounds reasonable to me to say, yeah, actually, springs get stronger and stronger as you pull the mass out, but they get stronger and stronger in a quadratic way, not a linear way. Like it could be the case that if I pull a mass out to twice as far, the spring exerts 4 times as much of a force. Like all of those things sound reasonable to me. They do. Your job is to show whether this case that says, this case claims ultimately the following. Oops, sorry. Sorry. Okay. And I know we're getting close to time, but and this is a big giveaway. There's a big hint about what I'm about to say. If the claim is true, it really means that if you collected a bunch of X data, if you took a certain spring and somehow and put a mass on it, right? And somehow we're able to put the mass at a whole bunch of different X positions. And for each one of those X positions, you were somehow able to measure the force being exerted by the spring, so that you had a bunch of different X positions measured in meters. And for each one of the displacements measured in meters, you were able to measure the F exerted by the spring. What if the statement's true? It means if you put all that data onto a graph, which is ultimately going to be your job, then you get a straight line graph. That's what the claim is really saying, that the relationship between force and displacement is linear, is a straight line. Now, a line that's going down, technically, like not going up in the first quadrant, but technically going down, because according to the statement, the force is in the opposite direction of displacement. It's a negative sign. So that's why I'm in that quadrant there. And I will tell you right now, the negative sign is correct. Like that's not, the negative sign has to be true. If you pull the mass to the right of equilibrium, the spring pulls it back to equilibrium to the left. We're not trying to trick you with negative sign. The real question is it true that force is directly proportional to displacement? Or is it constant? Or is it quadratically proportional to x? That's the real question here is put another way, if we say f equals negative kx, what we're really saying is f equals negative kx times x to the first power. And that's quite a claim. That's what you're really trying to find out is f, clearly, I should say clearly, but if you're following me so far, if you're following this at all, or if you took physics 1, it's not a shock to assert that the farther out you pull a mass, the stronger the force gets. The real question is it really linear? Is it directly proportional? Is it really based on the first power like we're claiming here? That's what you're trying to test in the lab. Now, I know I have 14 more minutes. I want to get more specific. I want to help you as much as I can. You should stop me if this is not clear so far. But you're going to get a spring in the lab. You're going to get the mass in the lab. You're going to try a bunch of things like you're in every single lab you ever do. Your goal is going to be always in every lab, as boring as this sounds, and it sounded so boring to me for years and years until I thought of it differently. No matter what, a lab is always a relationship between an independent variable and a dependent variable. An equation is always a relationship between an independent variable and a dependent variable. Always what you're trying to do is decide what's my independent variable. That is, what is the variable that I'm tweaking deliberately, that I'm trying a bunch of different values for. Always, you're tweaking the independent variable, trying a bunch of different examples of the independent variable. And then for each one of those values of the independent variable, you're watching, waiting to see how nature responds, waiting to see what value arises in the dependent variable. And always you're making a table of a 2-column table of values, independent variable, dependent variable. And then always you're making a graph out of, as boring as it sounds, but every experiment reduces to this. Then you make a graph and you stand back or you make a scatter plot, I should say. And you stand back and look at the scatter plot and see if the relationship that the dots fall into seem to be the relation. You look at what relationship the dots seem to be falling into. In this case, if your dots fall into a straight line, then you've proven this equation true, or more reasonably. If they fall not into a straight line, you haven't. I'll even tell you right now, I believe in this situation. I believe X is the independent variable. I believe F is the dependent variable. But there's a key. So hopefully this is already like a lot of shape to what you're going to do. But I'm going to take it one step further. I'm saying what you're going to do in your groups is you're going to go in, you're going to devise a way of trying a bunch of different X values for your mass on your spring. And for each one of those X values, measure the F and find out if it's a straight line relationship or not. When I put it that way, hopefully that doesn't sound too intimidating or too crazy. And maybe it doesn't even sound like it would take that much time. It might sound boring, but hopefully it sounds sort of clear. However, the catch is, or the important thing to hear in the last 10 minutes is, I don't really know how you could measure F on a spring if the spring were sitting horizontally on the table. Like, you could put a mass on the edge of a spring and move it to different places, and each different place would be a different X. But I don't really know how you or I would know how hard, how many newtons the spring was exerting on that mass. That seems tricky to me, very tricky. So I want to give you a huge hint so that we don't, a huge hint to get us off the ground. it seems to me that one major experimental design strategy here is, I'm going to tell you right now that I recommend that you make the springs vertical. We're going to give you a ring stand. I suggest you use it. Now, you don't have to. If you come up with another way, fantastic. But I would suggest if you suspend the mat, if you hang a spring from a ring stand and hang from it a mass, actually, technically, what you'll probably be given in the lab, you'll be given like a little, you'll be given a platform that you can put the mass on, and the mass will be like a little cylinder. So if you hang a platform, and whatever, you'll hang a platform from the bottom of a spring, put a mass on that. If you do that, then first of all, wherever, if you just put a mass on a platform and just let it go, just let it sit there, wherever it is, that's equilibrium. Wherever the mass is sitting, when you're not doing anything to it, that's the equilibrium position of the spring. And you could try different masses on different springs, and you'll see that they fall to different masses on a given spring will fall to different heights, will find equilibrium at different positions. Whenever at any given moment, if a mass is sitting on the end of the spring, and I know there's only 7 minutes, but we're actually almost there. At any given moment that a mass is sitting on a spring, the free body diagram, you might remember such concept from physics 1. At any given moment, the free body diagram is here's of a mass hanging from a spring, right? Is here's the mass. That's a point in my free body diagram. There's forces acting on that mass. One force is the downward force of weight of gravitational pull from the center of the earth, right? Which I think you'll remember from physics 1, we generally designate as mg, the mass measured in kilograms times the constant gravitational acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared, right? At any given moment, the mass's weight is pulling down on it, expressed as mg. And at any given moment, the spring is pulling up on it. And at any given moment, if the mass is sitting at equilibrium, those two forces must be balanced, right? My big hint, I'm not going to say much more. I actually think that you have plenty to work with here. Your goal, well, I think you'll find if you suspend a platform from a spring, from a given spring of a given stiffness, if you start putting different masses on that platform, you'll find that the spring will reach equilibrium at different heights. at different displacements from the original edge of the spring. Wherever it finds equilibrium, the upward force of the spring has to be equal to the downward weight of the mass that you put on the spring. I think, therefore, this is a way to find out, and listen to me closely, we have 5 minutes. But if you believe that at any given moment that a mass suspended by a vertical spring at any given moment, I'll write this down. Hold on a second. Well, no, I'm not going to write down. I'm going to say at any given moment that the mass is at equilibrium, the upward force of the spring must be equal in magnitude to the downward force of the mass's weight. So at any moment that you have a mass, a known mass, sitting at the bottom of a spring, as long as the spring is vertical, you can figure out how strong that spring force is. It's got to be equal to the weight of the mass sitting on it. So if you try different masses, that's a way of trying different spring forces and knowing what they are. If you look at the different heights that the spring masses fall to, that would be a way of seeing different X, or what you might call Y values, call them X, call them Y, whatever, doesn't matter what you call them. But I, in a way, if you're paying attention to me right now, I've just given away the whole thing, and I'm not trying to be cheeky. I basically have told you what to do, but there's other things you could do too, or I've told you one way that could work. I am suggesting to you that if you turn your springs vertically and you try a bunch of different masses on a given spring, that will be a way that you can get a bunch of different F values. You can get a bunch of different X values. And as long as you're careful to remember which one is the dependent variable, which one is the independent variable, then you can get that table of values. And the bigger table of values you get, the more different values you get, the more accurate this whole thing's going to be. And then if you make a scatter plot from those values and look at the scatter plot, you'll be able to see if the scatter plot is a straight line, then you have verified this claim. If the scatter plot is not a straight line, it means you have disproven this claim. I don't know what the right answer, I mean, of course I know what the right answer is, but I think that's your direction, that's your goal. And by the way, some labs will get more elaborate, some assignments will get more elaborate. We're trying to get to know one another first. So take your time, be patient with Professor Talley. I don't really care for labs leaving early. If you finish this early, what I demand is that you stay in the lab and you start working together on the homework, my homework, that's 1B, that's all about springs. This will help your homework there. So if you happen to finish this early, start working on 1B, please. And obviously I'll tell Professor Talley that too. But I think with everything I just said, and with a ring stand and with a spring on your table and with a ruler, I mean, your whole goal is just to prove or disprove the statement. And once you're done with this lab exercise. So I think you should be good to go. We have 2 minutes. Does this make sense? Do you feel like you know what you're going to try to do on yes? Okay, I see some yeses. Thank you, Jake Moses. Thank you, Ashton. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, Ariana. Okay. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, and again, I'm not trying to be I am obnoxious about people leaving early in lab. You'll see why when we get but hopefully this won't be too bad. And then you'll have hopefully time to work together on homework 1B. But don't worry about a report or anything like that. Just work on getting to know each other and figure out how to work together and just trying to get this result and getting to know Professor Talley. And if you're good, I'm good. It's been a really great pleasure meeting you. I'm very excited. Text me if you have any questions or blah, blah, blah. But I know it's been a long class. You're good people. I will stay until the last of you leaves. But peace be with you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Professor.
you.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Professor.
You too.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. You too. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you so much. Have a good night. You too. Great to see you. But I won't go. I'm not going until you're going. You go first. Awesome. Good to see you. Good. You guys are good? Good. Okay. You're good. We've never met before, right, Sue Lady? I don't think this is the first time we're meeting, yes? Okay, anyway. Oh, sure. But you're good, Sue Lady? Are you good? Can you hear me? Okay, going once, going twice.